My dear friend, before you hear another word, I want you to pause just for a moment and take a deep breath, because what you are about to receive is not an ordinary message. This is a divine moment, a moment that carries the power to shift the atmosphere of your life. You didn't find this video by accident. Heaven led you here. Somewhere deep in your heart, you've been asking God for a sign, a word, a confirmation that your life can still change, and this right here is that moment. Today, we are going to talk about 3 simple words that have the power to transform everything about your life. Your mindset, your faith, your finances, your peace. They are not just words, they are keys that unlock spiritual doors you didn't even know existed. And by the time you reach the end of this message, I believe your faith will rise to a new level, your vision will become clear, and you will never see yourself the same way again. You see, God works through the power of words. He spoke, and creation came alive. He declared, and the impossible became possible. And the same creative power that flowed from His voice is within you. When you write and speak words of faith, you activate the same divine energy that formed the universe. That's why this message is not just something to listen to. It's something to experience. Every sentence you hear today is a seed of transformation. And if you let it take root in your spirit, it will bear fruit that no man can take away from you. So I want you to stay with me until the very end of this video, because at the end, we are going to do something together, something prophetic, something powerful. You're going to write these 3 words, and as you do, I believe the atmosphere around your life will shift. Chains will break, doors will open, and your heart will awaken to a new dimension of faith. Don't scroll away. Don't get distracted. You've waited too long, prayed too hard, and come too far to miss what God is about to reveal. Stay with me, believe with me, and let this message speak directly to your spirit. Because when you write these 3 words with faith, your story won't just change, it will never be the same again. When you write words of faith, something divine takes place beyond the paper and ink. Writing is not just a physical act, it is a spiritual declaration. It is your heart made visible, your belief translated into form. Every time you pick up a pen to write what you believe, you are giving substance to the invisible. The Bible says that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. When you write your faith, you are turning invisible hope into tangible evidence. Heaven sees what you have written because it recognizes the language of faith. Writing focuses the mind and anchors your spirit. Often people speak words of faith, but those words can be fleeting, scattered by emotion or doubt. Writing, however, crystallizes your belief. It slows your thoughts down, forces your heart to engage, and imprints your confession deeper into your spirit. When you write, "I am blessed," it is not just a statement. It becomes a covenant between your soul and God's promise. Writing allows you to revisit that covenant, to see it again and again, until it becomes part of your spiritual DNA. Every major move of God in history has been connected to something written. The commandments were written on tablets. The visions of prophets were written in scrolls. The gospel was written so that generations could believe. When you write words of faith, you are participating in that same divine pattern. You are documenting your personal revelation, recording your expectation, and aligning with God's creative order. In the act of writing, your faith is multiplied because each stroke of the pen is a confession of belief and a declaration of trust. The enemy works to distract the mind and cloud the heart, but when you write, you silence confusion. Writing faith faith-filled words becomes a form of spiritual warfare. It dismantles doubt and releases clarity. You begin to see the promises of God not as distant possibilities, but as present realities. Your written words become a mirror of your future, reflecting what God has already ordained for you. When you write your faith, heaven pays attention. Angels take note. The spiritual realm responds because faith has taken form. Those words on paper are seeds planted in the soil of the Spirit, and like any seed, they will produce a harvest in due time. The moment you write them, creation begins to move in your favor. Every word that comes from your mouth or your pen carries creative power. The world we live in was spoken into existence by words. Let there be light, and there was light. This divine pattern reveals that words are not ordinary sounds. They are spiritual containers that hold the power of life or death, increase or lack, faith or fear. When you write or speak words that agree with God's truth, you are not merely expressing ideas, you are building realities. The unseen world responds to what you say, and your environment begins to reflect the words that dominate your heart. When you write faith-filled words, you align your internal atmosphere with heaven's language. You begin to speak in agreement with divine laws that govern creation. Your words become instruments that direct energy, focus intention, and establish order where there was chaos. If your heart believes in abundance, but your words declare scarcity, your life will remain in conflict. But when your words, thoughts, and faith all point in the same direction, a spiritual current is released that brings manifestation. Every time you write words of hope, healing, or provision, you are shaping the blueprint of your future. There is an invisible structure behind every spoken or written word. Words have vibrations that influence emotions, thoughts, and even physical outcomes. That's why words of faith can heal a heart, ignite courage, and release peace where fear once ruled. Negative words, however, imprison the mind and reinforce defeat. When you choose to write words like God is faithful, I am favored, or my life is overflowing with blessings, you are not just being positive, you are creating spiritual architecture that sustains miracles. Your words set boundaries for your destiny, and by writing them, you build a house of faith where divine presence dwells. Writing faith-based words disciplines the heart to believe what the eyes cannot yet see. It replaces uncertainty with conviction. As you write, read, and speak these words, you begin to embody them. The shift may start subtly. A change in your thoughts, a new sense of peace, an idea that brings breakthrough. But over time, these words shape your identity and your results. The power of life flows through every syllable of belief. And the moment your words align with heaven's truth, your reality begins to transform in ways you cannot yet imagine. The three words that carry the power to transform your life are not simply chosen for their sound or simplicity. They are chosen for their truth and spiritual alignment. These words might be as simple as God is able, am blessed, or faith wins always, but within them lies a universe of divine energy. When you write or speak these words with conviction, they become more than phrases. They become living declarations that reprogram your spirit, renew your mind, and call forth supernatural outcomes. The moment you declare them, you are sending a message to the spiritual realm that you agree with heaven's report, not the limitations of the world. Writing these three words gives them permanence. Words spoken may fade with emotion, but words written remain as constant reminders of your faith. Each time you see them, you are reminded of who you are in God and what you are capable of through Him. Those words become a daily anchor that steadies you when fear tries to whisper lies. They are a compass that redirects your focus when life's storms attempt to distract you. Over time, they transform from words you write into truths you live. You begin to think differently, speak differently, and attract differently because you are now operating from a foundation of faith rather than doubt. These three words serve as a bridge between your human potential and divine power. They connect your heart to the promises of God and remind you that your identity is rooted in something eternal. When you speak or write them, you awaken spiritual forces that respond to belief. The atmosphere around you begins to shift. Your confidence increases and opportunities that once seemed distant start to move closer. These are not empty affirmations. They are confessions of alignment with the Creator's will. Faith-filled words always carry creative energy because they come from the same source that spoke the universe into existence. Every time you repeat these words, they dig deeper roots into your subconscious mind, transforming your thoughts from limitation to abundance. You start to see possibilities where you once saw obstacles. You begin to feel peace where you once felt pressure. These words are not magic, they are truth. And when truth is written, believed and spoken, it releases freedom, attracts favor, and ushers in a new dimension of living where nothing seems impossible. Faith becomes powerful when it moves from being an occasional thought to a daily practice, and repetition is the bridge that makes this possible. Every time you write, speak, and meditate on faith-filled words, you reinforce divine truth in your heart and mind. Repetition is not vain, it is spiritual training. Just as a seed must be watered consistently before it sprouts, your faith must be nourished through continual declaration. When you repeatedly write those three words of faith, they begin to take root in your subconscious, influencing how you think, respond, and perceive life. You begin to embody the very thing you believe. In the beginning, the words may feel like simple affirmations, but as you repeat them with sincerity, they start to reshape your inner reality. Your spirit starts to rise above doubt, your emotions stabilize, and your thoughts align with divine wisdom. The more you repeat words of faith, the more you weaken the grip of fear and uncertainty. Every repetition is a strike against the strongholds of unbelief. It's not that God needs to hear your words over and over. It's that your heart needs to be reminded of His promises until they become second nature. Faith grows through hearing, and hearing comes by the word. So when you keep writing and declaring truth, you are training your spiritual ears to hear God louder than your circumstances. Repetition also brings clarity. The more you speak your faith, the more your vision becomes clear. Your mind begins to recognize patterns of divine possibility where there was once confusion. You start to see opportunities that align with your confession. This is how miracles begin. First within, then without. A repeated faith declaration creates a spiritual rhythm that heaven responds to. The invisible starts to move toward the visible, and what was once an internal belief becomes an external manifestation. As you write and repeat those words daily, you are not merely engaging in a ritual, you are reprogramming your life. You are replacing worry with worship, fear with focus, and limitation with liberty. Over time, repetition turns belief into instinct, and when faith becomes instinct, miracles become natural. What once required effort becomes effortless, and your life begins to mirror the promises you've been declaring all along. When you write your declarations of faith, you are not simply recording thoughts. You are inviting heaven to agree with what you have written. The spiritual realm is sensitive to words born out of faith, and when those words are placed on paper with genuine belief, they become a signal that heaven cannot ignore. Angels are God's messengers, and they are assigned to carry out the will of God in the lives of those who believe. Every time you write a statement of faith, it becomes a written decree that angels recognize and respond to. It is as though you are signing a spiritual contract with heaven, giving permission for divine forces to act on your behalf. This is why writing faith declarations is not a mechanical act. It is a prophetic one. You are declaring what heaven already desires to manifest in your life. God's promises are yes and amen, but your faith-filled words are what activate them. When you write, I am blessed, heaven hears it as a command to release blessing. When you write, God is providing for me, the spiritual realm aligns circumstances, people, and opportunities to fulfill that truth. Your written faith becomes a magnet for divine movement. It tells the unseen world that you believe in the promises of God more than the evidence of your current reality. Writing is also a form of covenant communication. It is how you partner with God to bring His will into your situation. When you write His promises, you are saying, Lord, I agree with your word. That agreement is powerful because God always honors faith. Heaven and earth respond to the voice of agreement between divine truth and human belief. The moment your pen touches paper with conviction, you've moved beyond wishful thinking. You've stepped into active faith. There is an energy, a divine vibration that flows from faith-filled writing. It sets things in motion that you cannot see. Favor begins to locate you, closed doors begin to open, and what once seemed delayed begins to accelerate. Writing your declarations with faith is not only a demonstration of belief, it is an invitation for God to perform His word in your life. When heaven reads what you've written in faith, it responds with action, and your words become the blueprint of your miracle. The moment you write words of faith, something invisible yet powerful begins to stir within you. But true transformation happens when you start living as if what you've written is already a reality. Writing activates your faith, but action manifests it. When you step out and behave according to what you have declared, you show heaven that you truly believe. Faith without action is incomplete, because belief alone does not move mountains. Faith expressed through movement does. When your words and your lifestyle come into alignment, the spiritual and physical realms connect, and miracles start to take shape in your life. Living out your written words requires courage, especially when your surroundings contradict what you've declared. Yet this is where faith becomes real. You must see beyond what your eyes show and act according to what your spirit knows. If you've written, I am prosperous, but your finances look empty, live with gratitude and generosity as if you already have abundance. If you've written, I am healed, but you still feel pain, walk in confidence as if your body is already whole. This kind of faith draws divine attention because it mirrors the nature of God Himself, calling things that are not as though they are. Your written words become a living prophecy when your actions begin to reflect them. Heaven does not respond to fear or hesitation. It responds to movement born out of faith. Each step you take in agreement with your written declaration strengthens your spiritual foundation and weakens the hold of doubt. The more you live your faith, the more visible your transformation becomes. Others begin to see the glow of peace, favor, and confidence around you. You no longer wait for the blessing. You become the expression of it. When you start living what you have written, your environment begins to shift to match your inner conviction. Ideas flow effortlessly, opportunities find their way to you, and divine timing begins to align in your favor. You are no longer hoping for change, you are walking in it. The written word becomes the lived word, and that is when miracles unfold naturally. The change that started with ink on paper turns into a new identity, a new reality, and a new level of faith that cannot be shaken by circumstance. My beloved friend, what you have heard today is more than just inspiration. It is a divine invitation. The words you write in faith are not small acts, they are sacred moments of creation. When you take your pen and write those 3 powerful words, heaven leans in to listen, and the universe begins to rearrange itself to agree with your declaration. Your life is not defined by the mistakes of yesterday or the struggles of today, but by the faith you choose to express in this moment. You hold the power through faith and written confession to rewrite your destiny. Remember, the same God who spoke the world into existence has placed creative power within you. Your pen is a prophetic tool, your words are seeds, and your faith is the water that gives them life. Every sentence you write in belief becomes a bridge between your present and your promise. Don't underestimate what happens when you combine belief, declaration, and action. The world changes first inside you, then around you. You are stepping into a new chapter where miracles are no longer distant dreams, but daily experiences. So today, write your faith boldly. Speak your truth fearlessly. Live your words courageously. Don't let doubt silence your declaration, because your written faith carries the fragrance of divine victory. You will never be the same after this, because something inside you has awakened a deeper awareness of your authority, your purpose, and your power in God. As you go from this message, I want to bless you with these words. May your heart stay anchored in faith. May your hands never grow weary in doing good. And may your written words become the foundation of your miracles. You are chosen for greatness, destined for abundance, and called to shine as a testimony of divine goodness. Thank you for spending this time in faith and reflection. I believe with all my heart that as you apply what you've learned, doors will open, favor will flow, and peace will surround you. This is your season of divine transformation. Walk in it with boldness. Stay blessed, stay faithful, and always remember, your story is still being written, and God Himself is holding the pen. Good luck, and may your days ahead overflow with grace, joy, and supernatural increase.